Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thank you so much.
Wow. So, this is so Chongi and I actually spoke last night, and I was so excited about this.
We spent a lot of good time.
Right.
So,
Jung-hee is a serial entrepreneur, and he's a co-founder and CEO of FuturePlay, and we're going to talk more about that. But the reason this is so exciting right now is the fact that he has so many stories. He has so many different types of stories that is, some of them touching, some of them hilarious, and some of them he can't share in public. So today we'll hear a lot from Chongi, but without kind of going into more details from my side, can I actually just ask you to do a quick intro of what you do?
okay,
Yeah.
so I think that I'm the kind of the inventor. So at the airport, you should write down your occupation for the entrance. So I write down the inventor. So the officers ask to me that, so what do you invented? So I just said a lot of things I invented. So basically, I'm the guy making something. So basically, I'm an inventor. So based on that, I found startups to making some products. And one of the company acquired by Intel and 2 years ago. So I spent my 2 years as an employee of Intel. And after that, I decided to found some platforms for the high-tech entrepreneurs. So it is on the FuturePlay. So now I'm on the CEO of the FuturePlay, and now I'm making the startups based on the FuturePlay.
Okay, great. So before we actually dive into FuturePlay, you are what we call a serial entrepreneur. So can we dial back a little bit in time and maybe to maybe even before your Ola Works time, and then talk about how you got actually started, and then kind of quickly go through some of the other experiences you had.
Okay, the starting point was the end of the last century, the 1999. So at that time, I was a PhD candidate in the KAIST, Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. Very long name. The universities and the alumni said that they're the top engineering school in Korea. So I believe that because I'm one of the alumni. So I was under the PhD candidate at the time. The good thing I'm on the PhD candidate, so I have a lot of the free time to dream the future and making something. But the bad thing is that I got my BS and MS from KAIST. And the other bad thing is that the Daejeon is placed not in Seoul. So at the time, it was so boring to me to spending my time as a PhD candidate. So I literally want to quit the KAIST, but there was no way how to quit the KAIST because my professor was so stubborn guy. So he said that you guys should spend your 90 hours per week in the lab. So that type of the professor. So, but at the 1999, the time was on the startup boom of the Korea. So every laboratories in universities and every professors, they literally want to support the making of startups of their students. So one day my professor come into the lab and he just say that if one of you guys literally want to making your own startup, then I will support you. Then automatically the right hand going up, and I'll do that because I literally want to quit KAIST. So I asked to him that, so if I do my own enterprise, I should move my office to the Seoul city. So is it possible? That he said, of course. Now you're an entrepreneur and going to the big city, and wow, so it's amazing. It's a project for me, and I started my first startup. I literally want to quit my university.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you actually started because you didn't want to go to school. I can relate to that. So what was the name of this so-called runaway startup?
A little weird name. At the 1999, the end of the last century, in the in my room, I spend a lot of the time, users' time, to searching the websites. At the time, I decided to find a good domain to doing some business. So I type in a lot of good names, but I failed to get the name. Of course, every good name is taken by the other companies. So finally, I found a very good name, the OOZOO. The name was Uju. So Uju is a kind of Jew in the world, and the Uju in Korea, the Uju means a space, universe. So I think it's a nice name. So I made a company, the Uju. But my co-founders said that the Uju is too short name, so we should add the other words just after the Uju. So I found the name Uju Connections. Very weird name. So we are not the CIA, so the Uju Connections. So at the starting of Uju Connections, we have no ideas, so we have no even items. So we have one problem because at that time, I'm a special agent, so military agent. It's on the exemption program in Korea. The male has some obligation for the military service, as you know. But the PhD candidate for KAIST, they have some exemption program. So I was enrolled to that program. So based on that program, I cannot be a CEO of the startup company. So at that time, I founded my co-founders to making a company. So I found a very good guy. His name was Simon Gang. Do you know who is Simon Gang? The partner of Bon & Jerry's now. So at that time, he just finalized his military service and back to school. And he's a very good guy to be a CEO because he already ended his military service first. Number two is that his major is the management. So I decided to choose him, the CEO of this company. So it's a starting point of the Uju Connections.
So how did it go?
So I asked to him let's make a company. So at the time I have an idea. So click the real world. So every time we click the website and into the monitors, into the screens, but I really want to click the real object. So connect the real object by the very easy way to connecting the information to the real object. So I found the easiest way, that was the scanning barcode. So if you find the barcode there, and if you can scan your barcode with your smartphone, at that time we only have a feature phone, so scan the cell phone, then the informations in the website can be connected to the object. Even you can upload this object to your, do you remember the mini homepage in the side world? Mm-hmm. So my idea was this. If I scan this samdasu, then the samdasu is uploaded to my mini homepage. So the samdasu is showing on the mini homepage. Why samdasu? But anything I have, the CD covers and DVDs and the movie posters. So that was my idea. So fortunately, the Simon really loved the ideas, and we decided to making the product.
Okay, and then were you able to actually get this up and running and into the market successfully?
Of course not, because we have no experience. We don't know how to make the product. Okay. And for example, my major is in the electrical engineering, and I was a PhD candidate. So everyone's think about that. The Jung-hee can make some code. So, but I'm not a programmer, so my major is totally different than making some code. So we have no engineers inside, so we should find the good engineers to making some product. So we failed to make the good product at the time, so we're struggling to how to survive.
And was it a function of the fact that you didn't know programming that kind of wasn't leading to success, or kind of?
Yeah. At the starting point, we just have some ideas, not good ideas only. So.
It was just because of the not just the idea, but the execution was a problem for you then.
Right, both of them. So.
Okay.
Yeah, even the idea was not a realistic idea, so we don't know about the end user's mind and so willingness to pay. So,
And was it supposed to like recognize these types of, like if you were to take a photo of this and then upload it to SideWorld, was it supposed to like recognize what it was, or
Right,
was
right.
it just supposed to upload?
so nowadays, every smartphone can scan the barcode with the camera phones, the cameras. So it's not on the real thing, but at the time, and the 2000, the year 2000, we have no camera phone yet. So we should add some bulky hardware at the end point of the cell phone to scan the barcode. So it's very weird because end users do not want to upload this object to their mini homepage, but we made some hardwares to connect it to the cell phone.
So
So
then,
that was the big problem for us.
I see. And so what did you do with Uzu connections? Then?
So the Chester Rowe, do you know who he is?
Yep.
So the
We
Chester
all
Rowe,
know.
the
Very familiar
number one, the serial entrepreneur in Korea. So Chester Rowe was he just IPO'd his first company at the time, and he became the angel investor. So he's also one of the alumni of the KAIST. And Chester invested the Uju Connections, and also he invested the other companies. And the other company, they have some technologies to scanning barcode with the ordinary camera, the cams for your PC and even the phone. So Chester introduced us, Simon and me, to the companies, and we decided to merge. So we made a new company. The company name was Iconlab. So at the starting point, we have no technologies. We only have some ideas and patents. And after that, we merged with some technology companies.
So that's how Icon Labs was
Yeah,
born.
right. Started. Yeah.
Oh, and then you actually kind of exited out of Icon Labs, and then you started
Right.
a company.
Ola Works.
Right.
So I became a CTO of the Iconlab. So Iconlab did super because the Iconlab's my invention. So we invented a 2D barcode. So as you know, that it's very similar to QR code. The code became a de-facto standard of the Korean operators, 3 operators. So it was so nice, it was so good. But the problem was at that time, every Korean operator has a policy of the walled garden. So do you remember the big internet buttons on your cell phone? So only SK Telecom smartphones can access the SK Telecom's portal.
Right.
So the business is impossible because we want to make one code scanned by every 3 operators' cell phone, then connecting to the one URL, but it is impossible because they limited the access. So the business was failed. So the company turned to the system integration companies, the B2B companies. So it became a zombie company. So do you know what is the zombie company? The profit is 0. Revenue is high, but expense is also high. The profit is 0. So no one wants to acquire the company. So we cannot be IPO'd. So it's a zombie company. So I decided to quit the Iconlab and making a new company. So that's the story. Yeah.
And that is called Ola Works.
Ola Works.
Yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar with Ola Works, can you just take a quick, 2 seconds?
So Ola Works was a computer vision company. Do you know what is a computer vision? Computer vision is a kind of the intelligence made by softwares. So I believe that sooner or later, so I started Ola Works in 2006. You guys remember that the first iPhone came into the market 2008. So at the time, we only have Windows-based the smartphones. So I believe that sooner or later, every cell phone turned into the smartphones. So at the time, the camera phone was a boom. So I believe that if the phone became a smartphone, that the cameras in the phone should become the smart camera. So what is a smart camera? So I found that the smart camera will be the camera with some intelligence, understanding the context, so understanding your face, understanding their environment, understanding the object. So my experience from the Iconlab, I learned that the scanning the code, understanding the symbol is not a good business, because we should put the symbol in the object and then scan that. So I decided to making a whole new company to understanding the real world based on the computer vision technologies. That is Ola Works, and we made a lot of computer vision softwares.
So how did Ola Works actually become famous? When do you think it actually started becoming famous?
I think it so it's kind of famous because of we have two tracks. Number one is a B2B business, the selling the computer vision engines, especially the face recognition, face detection engines to LG, Samsung, HTC, Acer, and Intel, and that type of the big companies. That is the number one business. And number two business is B2C, the end user business. So I invented the application. The name was Scan Search. It's an augmented reality, the first augmented reality, the applications in Korea. So the number of end users, at the peak time, the number of end users reached to the 3 million. So
Okay.
I think that based on that applications, and we became famous. Yeah.
And once you actually, so I mean, 3 million is not an insignificant number, especially at that time, right? So, having relative to now, I mean, sometimes we're always talking about really big numbers, but at the time, significant number was anything above
Every iPhone users use the scan search. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's the magnitude. Every iPhone user used the scan search. So then what happened? This kind of Intel came in. We all know the story about, or at least heard about the story about Intel acquiring the company. Can you?
Yeah. Right. So
tell us a little bit
Intel
more?
acquired the Ola Works because their Intel's strategy is that they're enriching the intelligence of the silicons. So not only the making the processors, the adding some layers, adding some platforms of the softwares, and making the bunch of the platforms. So the integrated products for their B2B partners. So they really want to integrate our computer vision engines to their silicons, and they decide to acquire the Ola Works. Before that, the Intel was the first investor, and then they became the customer of Ola Works, and finally they acquired Ola Works.
So how did that actually all happen? It seems like it's too good to be true, right? So a lot of times, we're always searching for customers. We're always searching for consumers to use our app or service. Right. I mean, how did that naturally? It seems like in hindsight, it seems like it's such a very nice road for
Yeah. Actually, yeah. So at the starting point, we invested by Intel at 2007, only the 1 year after the founder, the Ola Works. So at that time, the guy in Intel Capital said to me that we have no plan to make a mobile processors. So it's just a financial investment, and do not expect the business relationship, period. So, okay, no problem. So you already invested a lot of money, so it's enough. But everything was changed just after the iPhone shock, as you know. So Intel started to make mobile processors, and finally they even want to acquire some software companies to enriching their platforms. So very good thing is that just after the investing from Intel, the Intel Capital is top tier the corporate ventures in the Silicon Valley, and they have very good ecosystem to help their portfolio companies. For example, they have some annual event. The name is the Intel CEO Summit. So they had the annual event at Huntington Beach in the LA. So it was so nice. I was so feeling good to visiting the Huntington Beach. But the bad thing is that was in November, so it's very cold waters, and the hotel pay is very cheap. So Intel borrowed the whole hotels and making a conference. So at that conference, the Intel guys introduced each of the portfolio CEOs, and to introduce the portfolio CEOs to the big companies, the top level guys. So it was so nice. So based on that, the communications, we found a very good business chance and business relationships. And finally, we made a deal with Intel and acquired by Intel. So the ecosystem is the all. Yeah.
So were you here in Korea when all of this was happening, and then you just happened to just go to the US once in a while? Or how did that relationship with Intel work? I mean, a lot of these entrepreneurs now are interested in going global.
Sure.
But sometimes it's hard to tell, like, how do we actually do this from here? And how does it work? Do we go there all the time? Do we just move our office? What was your experience there?
Actually, the Ola Works was a Korean company, so legally Korean company, and our office is placed in the Seoul city in heart of Gangnam. But we acquired by the Intel at the Santa Clara. So I think that of course, to be acquired by the US big giant is easier than if your entity is US entity. But it is not impossible to be acquired by the big giant in Silicon Valley as on the Korean company. Yeah. So at the starting points, I don't know how to make on the US entity. I'm the Korean citizen, so I decided to make a Korean company. So that is all. And so very fortunately, I got a chance to be invested by the Inter Capital. But as you know, that Inter Capital has an office here, Seoul City, and even the Qualcomm has their office here. So I think that the easiest way is not making the US company, making Korean company here, and invested by the US guys, especially the corporate ventures. So the top tier corporate ventures, Intel, Qualcomm, even the Cisco, they are working in Seoul. So you can get some contact of him.
So how did you actually start networking with them? I mean, sometimes there's always a phrase that we hear about, which is, it's not about what you know, right? It's all about who you know. So, I mean, would you actually agree with that statement?
So firstly, the company Skylake, because Skylake is an investment company in Korea and founded by 진대재 장관님, the Minister of the Information Technology at that time. So one of the partners of Skylake loved our ideas and decided to invest to my company. And he believed that not only the Skylake, with some international global partner, it will be great to make the international company. So he decided to introduce the Ola Works to the other global players, and we found the Inter Capital. So he introduced us to the Inter Capital guys in the Santa Clara, and we had a meeting there, and he decided to invest to our company. So if you are not easy to contact to the international, the global, the players, then it's also good to contact the Korean venture capital. They have some relationship with the global guys. So for example, the FuturePlay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, coming to FuturePlay, before we get to FuturePlay, why don't we you exited, but before you actually started FuturePlay, you actually did a couple of years at Intel.
Right, I spent my 2 years at Intel.
You had no experience, you were in school in academia.
Right.
And then you started your company, it didn't work, and then you started another company, that kind of worked, and you sold it, and then you work at this massive giant.
Right.
So it's a huge difference from being a student, then an entrepreneur, then in corporate. So how did that actually kind of work out for you?
Actually, the Intel is the first company hired me. So I made a lot of companies, but it's my first time to be hired by the company. So Intel is so nice company because Intel is the pure engineering company. Everyone got their PhDs and everyone is engineers. They can talk in numbers and some code. So yeah, if you don't speak English, then you can speak with your colleagues with the Java languages and some numbers and some circuits, and it's so nice. Doing some business in Intel is very similar to spending your time in the laboratories of the big universities. So it was not so bad for me. The problem is I'm a product guy. I'm not an engineer. So I invent something and design something, and I really want to make something. At the startup, it's so easy. If I want to make this, and I can make it. But the problem is in Intel, we have a lot of stakeholders there. So I should convince all of them. So, but the problem is my main office is the place in the Seoul, the Intel Korea, and they are placed in Santa Clara and Europe and China and Japan. So I should take a flight or I should make some video call. So my nightmare was a video call between the Korea, Europe, and US. And the 2 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah. So I should do that. So it was funny at the starting point, but it became some nightmare for me. So I decided to quit this big giant international company and became a startup guy. So.
Okay. So you then became, started your third now company, FuturePlay.
Right.
So, I don't think everybody knows what FuturePlay is. Does everybody know what FuturePlay is here? Okay, not many. All right, so I think this
Only
is
one guy from FuturePlay? Two guys.
So this is a good opportunity to describe, take a step back and just kind of go through what that FuturePlay is, and then we can talk a little bit more in detail.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So we just started, so the FuturePlay started in this March. So FuturePlay is a kind of the company builder. We are startup making startup. So we making startups based on the ideas of the inventors. So I found that in Korea we have a lot of good engineers. They have some ideas to making a product. But the problem is, number one, they are already employed by the Samsung. And number two, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to make a startup. So I decided to make a company for them. So I interviewed a lot of the engineers, a lot of potential candidates to be an entrepreneur. So I found that the number one problem of them is the money, the financial problem. So every 30, the father of the Korea, they have a loan for their house. So as you know, that the Korean household is very expensive, so they should have a loan for their house, and the education cost is very high in Korea. So because of their law of the father, they cannot be the CEO of the startup. So it is the bad story. So I decided to hire them as an employee. So in the FuturePlay, we hire the entrepreneur as an employee, and we giving them a salary every month, and some insurance, and some facilities, and devices, and the office, and the lab, and everything. That is the FuturePlay. So we are the co-founder of the FuturePlay itself is a co-founder of the entrepreneur. So yeah, that's the FuturePlay.
So how does one actually become a person, entrepreneur in your company? Because it seems like you hire them, but then the whole point of actually doing also a startup is the fact that you get equity play. So how does that work in their motives and incentives?
Yeah. So we call that the potential entrepreneur, the inventor, because they are not an ordinary entrepreneur. They have their technologies, they have their ideas and patents. So we call them inventors. So now we have the 5 inventors inside of the FuturePlay. So every inventors, they have some personal relationship with the partners and the specialists of the FuturePlay. So because we only support the 5 inventors per year, so of course we can get some applications via the website, or we can make some contest. But at the past year, this year, we decided to doing this at underwater. So based on my and the other partners, the human network, because we have the map of future inside. We can expect the near future, the 3 to 5 years. So based on the future map, we decide to choose some areas related to the near future. So then we are seeking the good candidate to be a CEO of the companies. So fortunately, this year we success to find the 5 the engineers to fill that 8 years, and maybe next year we can have some programs the open programs to hire the inventors.
So, so you kind of mentioned engineers as the inventor,
Right.
right? But oftentimes, we have people who are non-engineers who also start companies. And how does that work? I mean, you have a very particular focus on technology and engineering. And if somebody is not an engineer, then can they actually be a part of it or not?
Good question. Some of the inventors now, they are not an engineer. They are the UX designer or interaction designer. So they are inventors, so they should have some their understanding of their idea. So sometimes they got their PhD or MS on their specialized areas. But we love the engineers because they can do some one-man play. They can invent something and they can make something. So now we are focusing to hire the engineers.
Okay.
But because, as you know that in Korea, in startup ecosystems, we have a lot of non-engineers, but we have not enough engineers in this field. Why? They are the employee of Samsung. So we should make some chance for them. So I really want to copy my DNA. So that's why we are concentrated to find the good engineers to be the entrepreneur.
I see. And then those entrepreneurs will then be joined by people in your company who are particular specialists in marketing, business
Right.
development, HR, finance, or whatever. All the other portions are going to be taken care of by other specialists. And then the inventor can actually focus the time on actually inventing.
Making something.
Okay, I see. That was clear. And then in terms of, for those particular people, do they, continue to get paid forever? And, do they
Of course
actually?
not.
All right,
So
okay.
the maximum the period is 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think that 1 year is enough. Now we have the 5 inventors I just mentioned, and most of them will leave the FuturePlay within 1 year. About the average, there will be about 9 months. So 9 to 10 months is enough to making some prototypes and proof of concepts and some business plans.
I see.
Yeah.
And you also help them with fundraising then?
Sure. So
Okay.
basically, we will invest to their company the 100K USD.
Okay.
So
wow.
we will give them salaries. It's around the 100K per year,
Right.
and we're giving them some facilities and we're giving them an investment.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And then after a year, if they don't make it, you're kind of screwed, huh? So then you're actually in big trouble.
It's an investment, so
Right.
of course not all company can success. So
Right. Okay.
problem.
That makes sense. That's
Yep.
fair. I mean, obviously, a lot of people actually start with nothing, right? They start with
Right.
nothing, and this is another good midpoint where you can actually try to start something,
Right.
and then take the opportunity to start and move on, make a prototype, get help with funding, and then move forward.
sure, yeah,
Wow,
right.
that's a pretty interesting model.
So
I've
we
actually
believe
not
the
heard of it.
value of their idea. We believe the value of their invention. That's all.
Right. Okay. Great. So I mean, so speaking of your inventions and your inventors, can we kind of talk a little bit more about what they are actually doing? So some examples would help,
Yeah, sure. So I prepared some videos here,
right?
so we can play this with the
Oh,
screen.
I just moved it.
June.
I was like, I just moved it.
Please.
So that's why we had a computer here. Yes, I remembered. I'm supposed to have this in the middle all the time. Yes. Can I hope we can actually get
Yes. So now we are seeking a chance in the post-smartphone area. So everyone knows that now the smartphone market is falling down. Even the Samsung is starting to falling down. But the problem is no one knows that what is the next big thing. So Apple made the Apple Watch, but no one knows that the watch style, the wearable is the next big thing. So they just try. At this stage, every big companies really want to invest, really want to acquire new small companies. They try something weird. So we are focusing onto the post-smartphone. So we have We have the 4 areas to focus. Number 1 is the human-computer interaction and user experience, the changing the interactions between man and machine. And the second one is making something different hardwares. The number 3 is making whole new service for the wearable device. And number 4 is analyze the big data. So here is some examples.
I hope I played the 4th one.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
please play that.
Okay.
So here comes the FuturePlay logo. So we invested 6 companies. So this company is Kixo, the US-based company. So they invented this type of software, the finger sense. See this? So they can differentiate their touch like this.
Huh. That is cool.
How about this? How about this?
Oh. I knew that was going to happen.
I'm sorry. So you can apply your knuckle, the right click of the mouse. So like this. So the company was founded by the CMU and the UC Berkeley, the alumni. So good thing is that they do not use any additional hardwares. They only utilize the existing sensors, and these solutions are made by the software. The number 1 sensors they utilize is a microphone because the sound is different. Awesome.
Oh.
So it's a Kixo.
All right. Oh.
And yep. And the next company is a QKey. See this, and lots of time we made on the typo with the keyboard. We pressing a lot of time the backspace. Like that. So they invented a cool retyping their algorithms like this. He brought bubble guns to school. Bubble guns? No, gum. And swipe down. And gun change it to the gum. Like this. Like this. So they invented this and filed a lot of patents. And you can download this QKey keyboard from Android market now. Part, dot. Like this. So it's a QKey. Here is the secret weapon. How about the voice recognition? So as you know that in the voice recognition, it's impossible to correct your typo. But applying these QKey algorithms, you can easily track the errors, typos, and automatically change that to the other words, like that. So it was the QKey. And the next company, it is a sentence. They invented this application. The name is Skip. It's easy. The copy here and paste there. The copy and paste between the multiple device. The copying this the Android phone and the paste to this the iPad. So they're sharing the cloud, sharing their clipboard via the cloud. So they have a lot of patents on this, and copying here and paste there.
Huh.
Yeah. So they made these applications, and now they are making some email client between your multiple device. So this is a sentence. The last company is Podo, the US-based company at the Santa Clara. They are making the camera device like this. Very small sized camera, can be attached anywhere. World first stick and shoot camera. So They are hardware guys and making some cameras. So this camera can stream the every video frames to your smartphones, and you can take easily your selfie and the group shot, like this. This whole video is taken by their photo camera. Yeah, this shot is taken by the photo cameras, like this. So they have a sticky pad at the back side like this, and this sticky pad is very sticky. So even they can then attach their notebook. So the FuturePlay invested to this company, and also the Highway 1, the hardware accelerator, also invested to this company. So this video is taken in the Highway 1 accelerator. So this is the photo.
Oh.
Yeah, in the Highway 1. Okay. So we invented that type of companies. The changing your lifestyles, so with some inventions and technology. Yep. I'm not coming from the Highway 1, FuturePlay. So.
And you know, with these companies, you have obviously been successful investing in these companies. What was actually helpful in kind of I want to talk a little bit more about these teams that you particularly pick. These are actually very tech-focused startups and entrepreneurs and whatnot. But
they are not tech-focused the entrepreneurs. We have two values. Number one is, of course, techy. Number two is sexy. So everyone said, wow, after seeing this video, because they are sexy. So we have two types of techy companies. Number one is techy but dumb company. And number two is techy and sexy company. We are focusing to find the techy and sexy company. That is techy and dumb company.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So
Sorry.
that sums it up. So make sure you're sexy and not dumb, right?
Right.
Right. And in terms of like your kind of advice, so we're really going against our time. So and we need to do a Q&A, and just last parting words. Any advice that you can give aspiring entrepreneurs in this room, or people who are actually trying to go global?
So just after they're acquired by Intel, I became an angel investor, and I really want to find a company they are making something whole new. But I failed. Nowadays, every startup's copying each other. They are copying some ideas from here, some ideas from there. So finally, none of the startups in this ecosystem, they are not fresh. They are just a copycat. So I really want to support the bold company that they really want to innovate. They really want to change the world based on their ideas. So of course, that is not safe way. So the safe way is copying each other. We all know. But I really love the story Don Quixote. So please do something new. That's the only way to become a great company. So that's what I want to say to the startup guys.
All right, great. Yeah. So thank you. And I'd like to actually now take some questions from the audience, please. So, any questions? So there's a question over there.
Okay, so I want to ask you for the Samsung attracting Samsung, comment about attracting Samsung to people. So I spent a couple of years in Silicon Valley at Google and Facebook, and now I moved to Samsung. And
Lily, congratulations!
Okay, but that's not a question. It's just the background. So
thank you.
I can tell that there are a lot of very good people in engineering at Samsung.
Right.
And after hearing what you said about your model, I think that may be quite difficult to pull them out of that company. Mm-hmm. the problem is that 1 year window, after which you have to search for a next job, and I guess if you leave Samsung, and then it will be hard to go back. I'm not speaking officially at the moment.
All right.
So once when you have this kind of well-paying job in Suwon, that it's really difficult to make a decision of going to a startup unless you have enough money that you don't care.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I didn't know that I couldn't go back to Samsung. Damn, that was too late.
He wasn't the employee of Samsung. So yeah.
The question is, how would you attract them?
So most of the engineers, they believe that Samsung is safer way to make their own companies. But in fact, Samsung is not a safer way. So the price of the apartment in Seoul City is under 10억 won. The 10억 won is $1
million.
Yeah, 1 million. So if your salary is the 100K per year, so you take the 20 years if you're saving the half of them. So after spending your 20 years in Samsung, you only get one apartment.
Wow.
That's all. So apartment is good, but
I want an apartment.
Yeah. So the Samsung is not a safer way for the ordinary Korean engineer. So I think that so making a company and making some innovations and then make some exit, that is safer way. That's why I founded this company, FuturePlay. Yeah.
And I guess you're also inherently attracting those people who would have gone out and tried to start their own companies anyways. Is that the case? Or do you just poach them?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Some engineers in Samsung, they do not love the culture of Samsung. So,
really? That's the first time I've heard that one.
One example here. So of course, the most of engineers love the culture of Samsung, and they have some proud of being the employee of Samsung. But some of them, they have some different blood. So fortunately, I know them because they are my student and their universities. I was an adjunct professor at KAIST too. So lots of my students was an employee of Samsung. So I have my personal network, and some of them asked to me, how can I overcome these problems in Samsung? So any time I said to them, quit. And that's the way the allure the Samsung guys.
I see.
Utilizing my personal network,
right,
and some alcohol, and my mouse, and
Again, I guess it's all about who you know.
Yeah.
So I should have.
So only 5 guys per year. So it's very small amount of the Samsung employee. But in the FuturePlay, the 5, we believe that they will change the world. So that's the difference. Staying as one of them, or making the whole world based on your abilities, based on your invention. It's your choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yep, there is one question over there. By the way, if you are comfortable asking the question in Korean, please do so. This is, if you...
예, 저도 한국말이 훨씬 편합니다.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm not good at English. So
no problem.
it's Korean. 저는 두 가지를 여쭤보고 싶은데요.
네.
두 가지 중에 첫 번째는 저는 아직 엔터프레뉴어가 아니고 나중에 그걸 해보고 싶은 사람의 입장으로서 실제 얘기를 좀 들어보고 싶은데 첫 번째 여쭤보고 싶은 건 가능하시다면
네.
지금 현재 바라보시는 일과 관련된 아니면 본인의 비즈니스와 관련된 꿈이 어떤 것인지 한번 여쭤보고 싶어요.
저의 꿈이요?
예. 두 번째는 그럼 지금 하루 동안 보내는 시간에 100이라고 하면 그 하루에 100이라는 시간에 내 꿈과 얼마만큼 얼라이먼트가 되어 있는지가 되게 여쭤보고 싶거든요.
무서운 질문인데요.
예.
Wow,
it's very scary.
That's a sharp
questions,
one. So just for those in the audience, the question is number one, what's your dream in terms of business? And number two, if, given what your dream is, how much of your day is spent fulfilling and going towards that dream?
So the answer to the number one question is that my dream is making some funny world, the happy world. So the problem is, most of the entrepreneurs in the Korean ecosystem, they are not happy. So because of their environment and the investors and the customers, even the employees, they have a lot of headache. But remember, you started your enterprise because you're happy. You should remember that. So I really want to help the entrepreneurs be happy. Yeah. I really want to help the engineers to be happy. So at the university student, we all have a dream to making something new as an engineer. But at the big company, we spend a lot of time to making some document and report them and making some meetings. Why do that? Yeah. Just making something based on your dream. So that is my dream to helping to your dream. And number two is that you said that if the one day is 100, then I spend about the 40 of that sleeping. I'm sleeping a lot. I'm very lazy guy, so I'm sleeping earlier and get up very lately. So yeah, the 40% of my day time is sleeping, and 60% I spend my time in the FuturePlay in the 5th floor of the building to having a meeting with entrepreneurs, having lectures to my inventors, and then interview to some candidates, or they're having a meeting with my partners, including Google and Intel and the type of the global companies. So they really want to help the entrepreneurs in the FuturePlay. So I spend a lot of time to help the entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So about 60% is
yeah.
Good.
Sleeping is good.
Right.
But I spend 60% more than 50% to the work.
Right.
So that's why I made the name is now the Future Works, the FuturePlay. I made the former company's name is Ola Works, so I spend a lot of time to work. So I changed the name of the company FuturePlay. So I enjoying these times a lot. So
right. I guess you might be playing, but your portfolio companies may not be playing.
I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
But okay. I'm working for their happiness.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great to know.
Yep.
Anyone else in the audience? Oh, there's another question. Yep. There's a mic coming. Mic, hold on.
I can speak out if you want.
That's okay. Everyone wants to hear you.
Yep.
All right. What is one mistake you made, like launching one of your startups, and then what advice could you give to like one of the mistakes that you made to help other people out?
So one mistake.
It can be any of your companies.
I made a lot of mistakes, so I should choose one. Number one mistake is, so in the company Ola Works, I founded my company with the co-founder, the CTO of the Ola Works, and he is my friend. The 20 years the friend. We are the alumni of the same high school and same universities. We spend a lot of time. So I believe that I know him. But I found that I know him as a friend, not a colleague. So sometimes we make a mistake about the persons, about the people around you. So that is come from the perception. So sometimes we believe that we spend a lot of time, so I know all about you. But that's not true. So some conditions, some environment will change the relationship between you and the other guys. So that is a kind of the mistake. So because we were the friends, so sometimes became a colleague from the friends that you may lose your friendship with him. So you should concentrate the relationship with your co-founders and colleagues if they are your friends or old friends and that is not related to the work. So that is the one mistake I made. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Got a free mic here.
Oh, here, up front. Well, hold on 1 second. Can we actually get the mic over to that side? And then after that, and then there's a Simon, I guess, up front. Yeah, okay.
So sorry for communication. No. And I want to add that one more question about that issue. But I'm not the engineer guy. I'm actually the sales guy. So if to extreme case, I got a good idea, which is the best. I want to know which is the best time to start my business. One is I got a good idea to start up. But second option is I got a good friends, and can make the techie and sexy service. Which is the best option to start?
So you mean the first option is doing by yourself and second option is?
I got a great idea and I want to do that, but I have no friendship and I have
You're alone?
No friend to develop the service. Actually, I'm the sales guy, so I got some idea for the sales side. So, but I have to make some service at the mobile or the other platform. So I have to find some good person at the tech side. So, but which is the best time to start on my business? So I'm just looking for the best person to align with my
So the
idea.
best time is now. Because you just said that is a good idea, so it's now.
But
or yesterday.
But as I mentioned that I have the person to work with, that was a big problem about.
So that is not the big problem. Because the starting means that the finding of your colleague is your starting point. So you can learn a lot of things to find the co-founders. That is you're doing your job. So sometimes people mistake that the starting point is not this time. So we should need a lot of the colleagues to do this. But the process in between that is also work to make the brand new service. So just start to find a good colleague of he can do something on your ideas. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a final question, or unless you guys have more questions, then we can go ahead and answer more. But I'm hoping that this would be the final one.
I just have a question about how you supported yourself between transition from, say, the university to your first startup and the first failed startup to the second failed startup, and in between those jobs, how did you maintain your living? I mean, I'm talking about like, did you have money saved up, or did you like crash with friends, or did your parents support you, or you said your professor supported you, but how did he support you? Financially or by providing business connections? In what ways did he help you? And if not financially, then how did you maintain, living, maintain living?
Maintain living. So financially, I have very good parents. So very good mom and dad, and he gave me a room in their apartment. So yeah, so everyone have a good parents, aren't you? So yeah, that is the answers for the financial one, and the others than the financial. So transition was so natural. So, for example, the became an entrepreneur and the PhD candidate, the era. So it was very natural because my professor support me to being them, and at that time I was very young. So to become an entrepreneur is not so bad thing for me. So everyone cheers me. So you can do that, and it was so nice. And at the Iconlab case, everyone have some pity on me. Oh, your business is not going up, and you should do the whole business. So everyone support me to making a new company. So it was very natural and very seamless changes for me. So, yep.
Okay. So I think we want to wrap this session, and then, so please put your hands together for Chongi. Thank you very much for your
Thank you
time.
for having me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.